Hello, students. Welcome to week 16 of the semester. Thank you for hanging around to the end. It's been an interesting semester, I'm sure, for all of us. The world is a little topsy-turvy, but here we are. So, as I told you, this last video is about creative writing beyond the classroom, which is a sort of general label that I give to different aspects of creative writing that go beyond in different ways to what we were able to do this semester, which I understand is an introductory course. Some of you may be considering creative writing as a profession, profession, down the line, right? Or some of you may be considering it maybe as a vocation or as a hobby or as something that you might be able to do on the side. And some of you, maybe you just thought, let me take 3351 because it's an elective and I'm just curious about it, and that's fine too. So with all that being said, I hope you find our advice helpful. With us is Andrés Torres-Scott, who you surely remember from the first half of the semester. Hello, Andrés.
Hello, Professor Rodríguez. How are you? A pleasure to be here. Hello,
great,
everyone.
Great. Please take it away. Take it away.
Thank you. Well, I choose to speak about two possibly very pragmatic points that are, when is my work ready to be sent to a publication, and what's the best way to improve my writing? And I choose these two because I got many questions from you about these things. Is my work ready for publication? What can I do to publish this story? What do you think? Is this publishable? Etc. So I'm going to start with that, and I hope Professor Rodríguez jumps in and expands about these two issues. So the first one, when is my work ready to be sent to publication? Real thing is, you never know when your work is ready. No, I have never, I met a lot of writers that have won national and even international prizes, and they sent their works wondering if it was even ready, not for publication, if it was even ready to be read by someone else. So the first thing is, and this is a very straightforward suggestion, never send your first draft. I don't know if it was Hemingway that said first drafts suck, or first drafts, I don't know, something gruesome about first drafts, but never send your first draft because it's not going to be good. Like even Hemingway's first drafts were not good. Possibly the only guy that I think had very good first drafts and are published as they are is Franz Kafka. But I think that nobody else has ever been able to do that. No, like, and please do not send first drafts. I've been reading for Riverset magazine as an assistant editor, and you can identify when this was a first draft. Like nobody, the writer didn't go back to use capital letters on the initial of every sentence. So do not send a first draft. Please correct your spelling. There are lots of tools, Grammarly. I mean, and I'm not talking about Chat GPT, like write a short story about a dog or something like that, but tools that suggest grammar corrections, spelling corrections. And the other thing is that never, and this is also very straightforward, and maybe as a young writer, you have made this mistake that you ask your father that is an accountant. I mean, it's not about a relative that has no education or has education, but asking a relative that is not a creative writer, no? And you ask him, he's gonna answer either empathetically or empathically, like very empathic towards you, or he's gonna criticize everything because he's not a creative writing. So the thing is, when should I send it? Is never send the first draft. Always leave. You say in Spanish, let the text take a rest. I don't know if you said that in English, no? Like reposar, no? Wait. Cool down. Maybe you say that in English, no? Let it cool down at least a week, because you are going to come back to it a week later and you're going to find things you didn't want to say, or in creative writing, you didn't want to mean. You want the text to mean something else, which is a very important thing. It's more relevant in poetry, as Professor Rodríguez could explain. No, the meaning, not the words themselves. So let it cool down. Do not send the first draft. Come back, revise and rewrite. And if you have a chance, workshop with another student or with a professor that is able to help you. Even 15 minutes is going to be great. I offer my help to a couple of students that ask for it, but I would like to take advantage of this possibility. And if you want my opinion or my humble suggestions, please let me know, and I can give you possibly, well, I offer, I'm willing to read it, make some suggestions in writing, and then talk to you 20, 30 minutes maybe, and explain how the text could be improved. And I'm offering you this not for this course or the next month. Like, you can keep my email and email me later and we can talk about it. I like to do that. Please try to do that. Workshopping. Every personal problem, anything is better if you socialize it. So that would be the answer. When is a text ready? Please, Professor.
Yes, I just wanted to add one quick thing, and then you can.
Sure.
About sharing the work. Yes, of course. Another option to share the work, and thank you for reminding the students not to share their work, not to try and get feedback from someone who will have trouble being objective, right? Like a parent, like a sibling, like a cousin, like a very close friend. It's very hard for people who are very close to you to give you objective, helpful feedback on something that you've created, because they know it's going to be hard because it's just very hard to be objective when someone you're very close to gives you something to judge. So another option is to create a little writing group, find peers in your community, other people that maybe you've had other classes with and stuff, and form a little writing group and share each other's work with each other, give each other some writing exercises, give each other some reading exercises. There is a creative writing club on campus, or at least there was certainly before the pandemic. So if I can find a link to that, I'll be sending it to you guys, the UTRGV's Creative Writing Club. Anyway, take it away, Andrés.
Okay, and thank you for everything. The second question: what's the best way to improve my writing? Of course, this has only two answers. Writing more. That's the first. It's like riding a bicycle. What's the best way to improve my abilities for riding a bicycle? Write again. Even if you fail them, write, and you're going to fail them. Like, you're going to be rejected. You are going to write horrible things. You are going to write incoherent things. That happens to everybody, and that will still happen to the best writers. So just keep trying. And the second suggestion here is read, but this time read as a writer. Read what was the writer thinking when he wrote this? Why is this novel initiated as a diary? Why is it not initiated as omnipresent third-person story? What are the reasons? You are going to find out that there is a reason for making up the frame or the form, how it is called in literary terms, to create the how to say that in English, el fondo, no, the essence, the form shapes the essence of the text, no? So you are always thinking about the essence of the text, but of course the form is always relevant for what you want to say. Just that my best example here is Sherlock Holmes novels or crime novels that are always, even in the classical detective or even in the American detective like Mike Hammer or all these classical, are from the point of view of the detective, because it wouldn't have sense if you know the full story, if you know who's the criminal, why he did it. No, you have to present them from the point of view of the man guiding the case. And this genre is very popular, and you can still take a look at it, and movies and new novels. There's always innovation, but this is very relevant because the form defines the essence of the text. So those would be my two suggestions: write, read. And
you.
please, if you would like to add something, Jose.
You were very very thorough there, and very on the mark. Write, read. Every artist, no matter what the art form, whether it's filmmaking or dance or music or visual art or writing, has to be okay with failure. If you And this is a problem with a lot of writers, is writer's block or writer's anxiety. There's often this idea that I can't write anything on the page or on the laptop until unless it's perfect. So you're trying to work a sentence in your head, and you won't write it until it sounds perfect, and that won't do. Usually, for the average writer, we just have to sort of like struggle through. And what I tell students often is that sometimes we need to write bad stuff, bad sentences, bad paragraphs, bad stories, so that we can make room in our brain for the good stuff to come in, And so that is certainly what I have told myself throughout my years when I'm writing and when I'm struggling to put something on the page. Is that if I write a draft of a poem, for example, and then I look at it and I put it away and I bring it out a week later and it's still like, yeah, this is not working, I don't see that as a failure if it allowed me to put that idea to rest and then move on to another idea, another draft, another poem, And so anyway, yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
Perfect, thank you. Well, on my side, I think those were the 2 points I would like to remind our students, and then you keep on with writing as a vocation, I think, right?
Right. So thank you for that, Andrés. So I wanted to talk a little bit about creative writing, and of course, Andrés can jump in whenever he feels like it, wants to add something. Creative writing in the more general terms. You guys are 3351, right? So you're all, I imagine even if you've been writing since you were in high school, for example, writing fiction or poetry or whatever, you still would be considered, of course, you're very young, beginning writers. And so I want to talk a little bit in general about writing out there, sort of in the larger world, which Andrés has already touched upon, about the idea of submitting and when to submit and how to sort of work through that. I wanted to talk about graduate school, undergraduate and graduate school. Some of you are already, I'm sure, on that path. For example, I'm sure some of you are English majors with a creative writing focus, and that's a BA, a Bachelor of Arts in English with a creative writing focus. That's a sort of common option for study. Beyond that, there's MAs, Master of Arts with a creative writing focus. And then beyond that, there's the MFA, which is the Master of Fine Arts, which is a terminal degree in the craft of writing. Just like there is a Master of Fine Arts in visual art or a Master of Fine Arts in dance. These are terminal degrees in the craft of the art. And then the last academic option that is relatively new, I think it's only been around for about 40 years, 30 or 40 years, is a PhD in English with a creative writing concentration. And that's a little bit of a hybrid program where you take some traditional literature research courses, for example, and then also combine that with workshop courses. And usually the way it happens is, many of the requirements for the PhD are the same. Usually the main difference, and it's a significant one, is that the dissertation for a standard or traditional PhD in English would be a scholarly project. If it's a creative writing concentration, it will more than likely be a sort of a book-length manuscript, a creative piece with a critical introduction, an introduction talking about this said project. And that's PhD programs tend to be a little longer. MFA programs, I think, maybe Andrés can correct me if I'm wrong, but they're usually about between 2 and 3 years long. And PhD programs, I would say probably 4 years and a little, maybe four plus years.
Probably 5, yeah.
PhD programs can go on and on.
Well, can go on forever.
as can MFA programs, because you can, students, you don't have to go to school full time. You can do it really slowly. And as we get older, life usually gets more complicated. And so sometimes we have to do that. We have to take classes at a slower pace. If you, as a general rule, to all young students on campus and at UTRGV, I love whenever I get a chance to tell them that if they are able to and have the means to suspend a little bit, to hold off on joining the real world, that is the labor force full time. If they can suspend that a little bit and keep being students for a little longer, i.e. get an advanced degree, right? A degree beyond the bachelor's. I always encourage it. I think there's just no downside to that. The only potential one is debt. So don't go into debt for graduate school, or try your best to go into minimal debt. But being a student, the longer we can do that, I think is always a good thing. Or maybe I'm biased because I always loved being a student. So anyway, I'll stop right there. If any of you students have any further questions about graduate study here or beyond, which I always also encourage students to leave the Valley if they can, go off, see other horizons. I think is always a good thing if you can do that. And if you can't, if you're like, no, I gotta get my bachelor's and I gotta start teaching, gotta start working here or there, whatever, because I gotta, because the paycheck, I need the paycheck. That's great. Please know that graduate school can always be taken up later in life. There is no age limit for being a graduate student, and programs, I can assure you, programs will not age discriminate. There is no committee out there that will be like, oh, this is a 40-year-old applicant, never mind, they're too old. No such thing. Older students tend to be really, graduate students often really look forward to older students because they bring a lot of experience to the classroom, a lot of life experience, which in the arts is incredibly valuable. So if you can't consider graduate school right now, please know that you can consider it anytime in the future. There is also a possibility, of course, of being a working professional and going to graduate school part-time. Most graduate programs, at least in the liberal arts and in the fine arts, our classes tend to be later in the day because to allow for working professionals. to engage. There's also low residency programs where a lot of it is through email correspondence and through Zoom. So anyway, Google away to learn more information. If you have any questions down the line, shoot me an email. You want to add, Andrés?
Yes. Well, there are many programs. You're going to take these on the next point, but the magazine Poets and Writers has a list of the MFAs and even ranks it, I think, and even ranks there are bilingual, Spanish, English. There are even in Spanish, like 3 or 4. I can say NYU, Iowa, El Paso, and I don't know. There's should be a couple more. Most of them are 2 years, others are 3 years. Many are fully funded, so that's very relevant. Many are specialized for writing scripts, movie scripts. Many are for fiction, many are for nonfiction, and many are these days, and I've seen them about ecological stuff or nature stuff. It's very popular, is very marketable. And of course, there are also others about writing fiction for social advancement or for community advancement, which is something writers have done since the beginning of writing. No, I mean, whoever is writing because he is not or she is not comfortable what's happening. No, that's the reason why you write. It's a statement of power. I mean, even against or for, but is a statement because you want or do not want to. So I'm curious about that. I cannot recommend. The only one I can recommend is the one from UTRGV. But beyond that, do your research and choose wisely. And I think many professors here at UTRGV are going to be very happy to write you a reference letter for your MFA programs if you decide to get into them.
Certainly. Yes, so to piggyback off of what Andres just said, UTRGV does offer an MFA, a Master of Fine Arts program, and you're welcome to look at it, Google us. But please also look at what's out there. You know, there is so much. And so, yes, here's the Poets and Writers. This is probably the most prominent magazine for writers in the United States. It comes out twice. It comes out every 2 months. So it's 6 issues a year. They're sold at every Barnes and Noble. I would suggest if you're interested, maybe get buy a copy or get a subscription. That's the cheapest way, right? For 1 year, and you'll get 6 issues. And each issue has interviews with writers, has advice about all sorts of things regarding writing and publishing. And then towards the end, there's a section on institutions that are looking for writers, either as like writing residency, sort of writing retreats that sometimes last a few days, sometimes last a few weeks. Presses that are holding contests where you this is independent presses or university presses where you the way they publish, because they're small, is they hold a yearly contest and charge a fee, and you send in your manuscript, and the winning manuscript or manuscripts get published. So there's lists of that, and journals also have ads in the magazine advertising that they're looking for submissions. And there's a lot of journals out there, and a good list of them is on the Poets and Writers website. If you go to, I think it's pw.org, and look under literary magazines, you'll see this long list, and it's in alphabetical order, and you can filter different genres. Most journals publish the 3 main genres, which is fiction, poetry, and creative nonfiction. Loosely subtitled personal essays. A few of them out there will focus only on one genre, and a few of them out there also publish beyond the 3 genres. So screenwriting and children's literature and graphic literature, and hybrid work. So it's very rich. I'm gonna put up a PDF in your on Blackboard that will give you a little bit more info about, and a few more URLs about to find that Poets and Writers website, and also a list of a few journals out there that you might consider submitting to. There are journals. There are a few of them that are focused on, they only accept work from writing students, either undergraduate and or graduate. And so that's a good place to start. A great place to start is Gallery, which is published by UTRGV once a year. It's a student-runs or student-produced magazine overseen by a faculty member, a colleague of mine. And it comes out once a year and is beautiful every time. It's a really beautifully produced magazine, and they're always looking for work. That gallery is focused on student work, campus work from campus from UTRGV. So their reading period, or their deadline, I believe, is sometime in March. So that gives you time to, decide whether anything you wrote in this class or before or after this semester might be something you might want to submit. Also know that if you are uncomfortable submitting something under your name, most journals, I would say, are very okay with publishing something using a pseudonym, a fake name, that you give them. And you let them know, can you please publish this if you want it not under my name, but under this name. And most journals will be happy to do that. I was a little surprised when I learned that, because I was like, oh, it's that easy, because I considered it myself when I was younger, publishing some stuff under a pseudonym. But anyway, I ended up not doing it. The last thing, Andrés, anything you want to add before I go into writing as a vocation?
I think I said everything, and you mentioned all the relevant points.
Thank you. So I know I've gone long, as I usually do. So I'll try and be very brief. Know that if you feel the need to develop this love of writing that you have, please know that even if you can't go to graduate school, even if you can't dedicate that kind of time to it, that creative writing is still a doable thing, right? Because, and I'll tell you why. The main reason is that unlike dance, unlike film, unlike music, where you need space, where you need money for instruments, where you need an entire team of people working together because it is a collaborative art, writing is generally 99% of the time a solitary activity. And it is it's very inexpensive to do it, because all you really need fundamentally is you and a laptop, right? Or you and a notebook. And so you can sort of on your own, or with, as I suggested before, with a group of people who also love to write like you do, form a writing group and keep producing and keep sharing your work with them, getting feedback, and keep submitting. Journals, by and large, are interested in great writing, regardless of whether the person is or has been a student in an academic program. You know what I mean? That's important, but it's not the first thing they look at. The first thing editors look at is the writing itself. So you're young. I hope that, I know there's a lot of pressures on you from life, from all different corners, different angles coming at you, from family, and all sorts of pressures and expectations. And so maybe creative writing is not right now the focus of your immediate future, but know that it'll always be there if you ever want to come back to it. And that if you're just a little bit more curious after 3351, we do have other creative writing classes that follow 3351, and they're generally genre focused. There's 3352, which is an entire semester about personal essays. There's 43, it's a senior level course, an entire semester on poetry. There's also another class that's an entire semester on fiction. If you can squeeze them into your schedule, we'd love to have you. So this is the end of the video. Thank you all for all your hard work this semester. I look forward to reading your final portfolios. Enjoy your summer, and best of luck in the fall.
Thank you, guys. I enjoyed reading your fiction texts. They were splendid. I loved them. Most of them were very cool. I laughed at a lot of them because they were very, very funny. Others were dramatic. I really loved them. Keep writing and have a nice summer. Rest a lot because fall is going to be harder than the spring semester. Thank you. Take care. Be safe.
Have a good one, Andrés. Great working with you.
Great working with you too, Professor. My appreciation. So,
thank you.
See you guys.